Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech live on Twitch. Got some interesting developments today when it comes to Apple AR glasses. We probably learned more today than any previous year about augmented reality glasses. I hope what we've learned in the more recent few videos ends up being real. I have my doubts about it, which I expressed in a video. If you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it. That will make this live stream so much easier for me because I don't enjoy repeating myself, but because some people don't like staying up to date with my thoughts or opinions on a subject, it results in me having to repeat myself a lot. So I apologize if you're hearing the same thing over and over again, but there's a paradox I'm noticing between all the different opinions and clashing viewpoints on this next generation Apple product. And it's being attacked from so many different angles that everyone has some type of logic on their side, but I feel like every argument has flaws with it too. So I'm doing my best to make sense of it, but at the same time, lots of people still disagree. So on one end of the spectrum, you have people saying, well, look, it's going to be an iPhone accessory, and there's no way they can charge $1,000 plus for an iPhone accessory, right? It has to be somewhat reasonably priced. Something like $499 makes sense because that's half the price of an iPhone. That's cheaper than an iPhone 11. So it's a reasonable price point to sell as an accessory, given it's not going to be a standalone product. It's going to require an iPhone. So why would they sell an iPhone accessory for that much more? Well, the logic there is sound, but on the contrary, this is where I came in today's video. The issue is any type of accessory or any type of product that does something remotely similar. We don't actually have a product that's anything like these AR glasses we're hearing about now. Anything that's remotely similar is insanely more expensive. And I think a lot of people's approach to it is just, well, the iPhone's doing the heavy lifting, but that's not the expensive part of the glasses because the augmented reality glasses that are available today, the expensive part of manufacturing them is not the CPU and the GPU. The rendering part and the processing part, we have ways of miniaturizing those chips and shrinking them down, and it's not terribly pricey. The pricey part is making lenses in displays that you can see through and wear, and also figuring out a way to build those into prescriptions that people who have difficulty seeing certain things can wear, and making that affordable and mainstream and something that everyone can just go out and buy. So this is the paradox here. You have the clash of, well, there's no way they could price it that much, right? Because it's an iPhone accessory, but at the same time, nothing currently exists anywhere near the realm of that being possible. Because even the cheapest AR headsets right now that aren't doing what AR glasses are rumored to do cost way more. And it's not because they had to put all this money into the CPU and the GPU to be a standalone product. It's because displays that go on top of your vision, that's not cheap. That's not easy. That's not something everyone can just slap together real quick. And Apple's not a display manufacturer themselves, so that means that they have to find someone who's willing to do that. And the point I come back to is, when has Apple really ever been first to a product category like this? I mean, there were touch screens and touch phones before the iPhone. Yes, they were able to mainstream it. They were able to iron it out and make it normal, but it wasn't undercutting everybody else. That's the big difference. That's the big difference here. So because there's so many different contradictory ideas, no one really knows what's going to happen. We can we can make our best guesses and we can run off rumors we hear, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to tell because everybody has some valid points. That it's hard to just say, well, this is the most likely, this is what it's going to be. It's hard to say. Let's see. Overachiever donated some bits. I saw your video on the Tailosive Network. Almost ended abruptly. I've been following most of the network since 2017, starting with tech. Keep it up. I'm excited to see where the network goes next. Well, yeah, hopefully the network doesn't get deleted and destroyed, which with YouTube's current system, that is entirely possible at any time. So, yeah, YouTube's a big, frail mess, but we're just going to hope for the best and, keep working responsibly. Scott, subscribed to Twitch Prime for 20 months on a 10-month streak. Thank you very much. Says put a 2 in front of the $4.99, and I think you have a more realistic price from Apple. Exactly. Normal glasses can be $500. Yeah. So now add in all the augmented reality stuff and see how much it is. Let's see. $500 prescription glasses will be hard to sell. Hope you won't want a Gen 2 soon. Okay. Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter suggesting that Apple Glass was going to be below $500 actually, because it's an iPhone accessory. In which I just ask you, like, can you find anything like that around yet? Like anything that is sub $500 that does what the AR glasses are rumored to do. This is not just a Google Glass competitor, which, by the way, Google Glass, well over $1,000. Thank you for the bits, Pizza Man. Do you think the new iPhone SE will be supported, or do you think that you will need an iPhone 12 or newer? Well, here's the thing to remember. You guys are thinking a lot about it like as if AR glasses are launching right now. According to John's leaks, which I think are subject to change because leaks he's given in the past couple months have changed already, he said that they probably won't be available to the public, for you to actually buy one, unbox them, and start using them until end of next year, potentially early 2022. And if the public launches that far away, saying it requires iPhone 12 and up is not that crazy, because iPhone 12 is coming out in 4 months now. 4 or 5 months maybe, because it could get pushed back in October, November, or something like that. So iPhone 12, not that far away. AR glasses, potentially very far away. They could be way out there. So if they require iPhone 12 or better, that's actually going to support quite a few devices, because by the time AR glasses launch, iPhone 12 would have been around for an entire year, and we would have already seen the launch of the 12S, or the second, whatever the follow-up to the 12 is. So yeah, iPhone 12 and up isn't that crazy to me. I mean, obviously, I don't know what type of CPU and GPU requirements the glasses have, so maybe they'll be compatible with the iPhone 11 or 10s or something, but I don't know. I'm just saying that iPhone 12 and up doesn't sound that crazy to me. I'm curious to know if you can add your prescription later, or if you have to do it at checkout, because I'd want to buy them and try them out first before adding my prescription to them, because once you do that, you're pretty much stuck with them. That's a good point. Yeah, the rollout of these things is a lot harder because they're not as easy to demonstrate as something like an iPhone, which you just see a picture of it and you're like, okay, I see the photo. I can imagine what that's like to hold in my hand. Whereas glasses, augmented reality stuff is a bit harder to sell people on. And with the prescriptions and stuff like that, yeah, they'll probably say, you should just go out to an Apple store and try them on for yourself and see how they work. So yeah, it'd be a messy kind of a rollout in that way. Let's see. It isn't going to be restricted to the latest iPhone since older ones are still pretty powerful. Yeah, but we don't know how power demanding these glasses are. It's like Apple could draw the cutoff at really any moment. And if you're an iPhone user willing to spend $500 on a wearable accessory, you probably are the type of person that would have a somewhat recent iPhone in the first place. They should come with a basic prescription, and then you can upgrade from there. Well, there's the issue with this is it's such a scattered market, because there's a lot of people with lots of different prescriptions, but there's also people like me that don't wear contacts or glasses at all. I don't want a prescription of any kind with these things. I just want a blank sheet of glass that can display holograms. I don't need them to change my eyesight at all. In fact, it would be bad if they did. Do you know about how the glasses work? Are the lenses special, or are they just regular glass and the technology is 100% in the frames? Yeah, John didn't give us much news on that. I'm still a little bit confused on whether or not it's projector screens that are displaying content on a layer of glass, or if it's transparent OLED displays, which we have seen demoed in a prototype form. Not much of that in the consumer world. That's not really existent on products you can buy. I believe Microsoft HoloLens has miniaturized versions of transparent displays, but all I know is that in any type of augmented reality headset, the expensive part is not the CPU and the GPU. So the idea that the iPhone is doing that work for the glasses doesn't save on manufacturing costs that much. The only thing that does is preserve battery life, because it means that the glasses don't have to work as hard. But you could fit Apple Watch sized kind of S4, S5 chips and stuff them in the stems if you wanted to, but I think it would just eat through the battery really quickly. I rarely wear my glasses anyways. Maybe Apple can get me to start. There you go. It could be a projector, so you can swap out the lenses. But the thing with that is, if they're a projector, they have to be custom-made lenses that are able to bounce back that image correctly. Because John's saying, you won't be able to see the visuals from the outside. It'll just look like someone's wearing normal glasses, and only the wearer of the headset will be able to see things. So it's a very special type of lens that'll be capable of displaying these holograms. I'm just having a hard time understanding how they could get the price that low. Sorry if the lighting's freaking out. It's the sun today. There's a bunch of clouds, and a lot of these live streams are lit from my window. So normally it's just sunny, but today there's like clouds going in and out and in and out. So it's kind of weird. From iPhone 10 and onward, because of Bluetooth 5.0, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it will depend necessarily on Bluetooth. But again, if the product launches this far out, I don't think it's been decided. I don't think they've made up their mind yet. Let's see. My feeling with the glasses is that they will display much less information than people believe. You will, for an example, never, in at least Gen 1, scroll social media and so on. Scrolling through social media would not be the difficult part. The issue here is that they're not going to be some type of fixed widget like we have on a lot of AR glasses available today, which basically will just put a little cutout on top of your vision that will show you the time, the weather, a few notifications and text messages. That's what present-day AR glasses do. And we're hearing that these things have LiDAR. If they have LiDAR, they're doing motion tracking. Okay, there's no way around that. They're not going to put LiDAR in there if they're not planning on doing motion tracking, which basically means all the AR demos and AR kit examples that we have with the 2020 iPad Pro or the new iPhones, they want to be able to bring that to the glasses on the first generation. That's not going to be an optional add-on thing. It's not just going to be so they could scroll through social media, but I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's the huge use case they're trying to come up with. I think John said they will be able to deliver notifications to people. So it's going to be kind of doing some notification management similar to the Apple Watch in that way. And if they do eye tracking, that's even more expensive. So imagine scrolling social media by moving your eyes up and down. I mean, they could add that with the iPhone now if they wanted to, just from the True Depth camera system, but I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's the end goal. I'd rather see the video John says he has first before we start speculating price. Once we see what they look like and the features they have, I think the price will be easier to guess. Well, he can't legally show the video yet, or maybe ever, I don't know, but the point is, like, we're hearing about the feature set and what they're going to be capable of doing, and the possibilities are kind of endless when you think about it, because if you can start displaying 3D holograms in real time on your vision and you don't have to hold and interact with anything, there's all games can get way more interesting. I mean, you could do notifications off of your devices, or you could add external monitors to your Mac as you're sitting there. You're just like, hey, I want another monitor from my Mac Mini. Blunk, 3D hologram. Now your glasses and your Mac Mini are connected together, and you're dragging windows over here, and you're just using external monitors for all kinds of stuff like that. Or you're at a MacBook, and you go to a coffee shop, and you just open up a MacBook, and you're like, I want a bigger display, shrunk. Or let's say you want to put tvOS on this wall real quick. You can just blink, throw it up on the wall, and boom, you have tvOS. So all of these things are probably going to be limited by the resolution they're capable of outputting at, as well as the battery life, which I'm imagining as a device that's really thin and really light, it's probably not going to have a great battery life, at least at first. So there's all kinds of potential and use cases here. Virtual keyboards and, scrolling through apps in real time without having to hold the device and stuff like that. So with those potential features, I still don't see them reaching that at a price point we heard today. But like I said, I still think that would be great if they were. I think they'd have an insane hit on their hands if that's the case. You don't need a display. You just have windows, and they'd be whatever size you need. Or that, yeah. I mean, it could just be a desktop for those who want it, or you can just keep dragging your window until it's all the way off the display, which would be kind of trippy. Like, imagine you want to move OBS, or you want to move your browser out of the way of your desktop, so you just click and drag, and it just keeps going all the way off the screen. I doubt it'll be an all-day battery life, honestly. I don't think they're going to be capable of running that. Even when you do the AR demos on the 2020 iPad Pro with LiDAR, that thing gets hot really fast. It will not last all day. Still think there is a huge place for iPhone, your watch, your computer, and your AirPods. I don't think the glass is going to take all the functionality away. No, I don't either. I'd never pitch that. I don't think the glasses are here to replace anything. The only thing the AR glasses might be capable of replacing is TVs for people who live alone. But that's about it because it's mostly a visual medium. It's not going to be capable of replacing the Apple Watch because of the health features and fall detection and the battery life. And the price point, you're able to bring fall detection and ECGs at a way cheaper price than the glasses would be able to. And the heart rate monitoring and stuff like that. The watch is going to have a completely different subset. It's a wearable, but they might overlap a little bit when it comes to notification management, but I still think the Apple Watch will be fine. I don't think the glasses are going to take sales away from that. Same with the iPhone. The iPhone's still going to stick around. Glasses aren't replacing that. As well as displays Apple makes and iMacs and stuff like that. I don't think the glasses aren't going to eliminate the need for that. Maybe over time they'll be able to iron it out and make it better, but definitely not at first. Let's see. What makes you think AR glasses won't end up like the HomePod? Well, what does end up like the HomePod mean? I mean, it's not an extremely popular segment, but a lot of people who have them really enjoy them. Did I ever claim they won't end up like the HomePod? I mean, what I've been saying for the longest time is that AR glasses are going to be insanely expensive, but insanely cool. They're going to unify the Apple ecosystem like no other. Like, there's not going to be another accessory that merges the experience and enhances the experience between all your devices more than the glasses do. And if that's the case, then yeah, they can justify well over $1,000 price tag. In my opinion, I don't see why not. If they're really capable of doing all the things I can imagine AR glasses are capable of, then yeah, $2,000 seems about right. It seems worth it to me. If they can make it cheaper than that, even better. Great. That's fantastic. But I would rather overestimate their price and be wrong than underestimate their price and be wrong. So that's why I'm just saying remain skeptical, people. Please remain skeptical. Do you think they'll be the new AirPods? No, AirPods are a completely different market. Nothing about the report we got today from Front Page Tech said anything about the glasses with They didn't even talk about them having speakers. If they do have a speaker, probably something really minor. I don't think they would play music or go in your ears of any kind. They'd look like normal glasses from what we've heard. Do you think they'll have a vibration style speaker similar to Bose glasses? No, I don't think that's the point. I think the AR glasses are going to be built around augmented reality, and that's going to be the main focus. I don't think it's going to be like a mini speaker you can listen to things to. They don't even have a camera other than LiDAR, which is kind of a camera, but not really. So if they're not even taking pictures and videos with this thing, I don't see why they need to play music or like AirPods are a completely different market. This is its own thing. This is a separate segment from everything else. They're not replacing any other Apple product because Apple doesn't make TVs. So it's not replacing that. Let's see. I believe that they won't have a camera and only have a LiDAR sensor solely due to privacy concerns. Also no speaker. Apple would rather sell you AirPods. I could see them having something small like a ticking speaker that just kind of gives like sort of how the Series 4 and the Series 5 give you a little haptic feedback when you scroll at the digital crown. But that's about it. Maybe if you're scrubbing on the stem of the glasses like this, you can feel a little something really minor, but not like a dedicated speaker you could listen to music to. Kind of like how the Apple Watch has a speaker, but you can't listen to music off of it. It's like occasional notifications and stuff like that. Okay, so what's Mini Dinosaur saying? John said on his podcast that he can't show the video because they have a specific color that correlates to the team that developed it, so Apple can trace the video to who leaked it, but he's working around it by possibly showing the video in grayscale. Yeah, that sounds easy. I don't know why that would take so long. I mean, why? You can just like, there's all kinds of video and codec tricks that you can reverse colors on things. You could make it like, it's like the Final Cut thermal layer filter where they just mess around with all the colors. Like the Apple Watch did a Hermes collab. Can we expect the Ray-Ban collab for the glasses or something to that nature? I would expect it, yeah. Glasses are kind of one of the more ambitious wearables Apple has ever attempted. I mean, headphones in your ears, okay. The AirPods that got the stem and everything and there's no wire. Okay, it was a little weird at first, but people got around to it. The Apple Watch, watches have been a fashion statement for years and years and years. They've been a thing for a long time. So getting people comfortable with that, okay, it's a square, it's a piece of glass, it's kind of different, but over time people get used to it. Now it's the number one watch in the world. So you can't even really argue that this looks weird or crazy because this is actually the most common thing people have strapped to their wrist now. That's the most expected design. Glasses, though, that's something that literally sits on your face. Now, anytime someone looks at you or interacts with you, they have to look at that. They have to see that. Um, so the fashion surrounding this will be pivotal. I mean, look at the Apple Watch Band market. That's been like limited edition launches. They got $500 watch bands. They got $50 watch bands. They got handmade watch bands. They got machined watch bands. All kinds of different expansion in the wearables department from a fashion standpoint. And the glasses are fashion times five. So yeah, they absolutely will make some type of partnership with other fashion brands and let you make them super customizable with colors and finishes. They have to. There's no way they're going to be selling these things for consumers and make them look, all weird and wacky. And I saw a lot of comments about that. Like, I don't want to wear these things if they look super bizarre and, they look futuristic, like with the, I don't know, super wide look. It can't be too crazy, which is why I was happy to hear that apparently they look like normal glasses. It's not really anything out of the ordinary. Overachiever donated, says, I saw in my suggested videos in my YouTube homepage, iJustine posted maxing out an iMac Pro. You mean a Mac Pro plus wheels? That is something she would do. I have not watched it yet, but imagine the cost, though. You don't have to imagine it. I think you can plug it in on the website. It's something like $60,000 after tax. So, yeah, I mean, the video might collect enough views to pay for that in itself, but yeah, it'll be crazy. Um, I have seen the Bose glasses with the speakers built in, but that's not really what we're talking about. I mean, there is headwear that has technology in it, but they're not augmented reality glasses. They're just glasses that play music. That's a little different than a lot of people were bringing up Snapchat spectacles, and I'm like, okay, yes, they are glasses, but they don't do AR stuff. This is why it bugs me that there are no sunglasses for the first edition. If that's the case, I definitely won't buy them. Yeah, I agree. That's going to be a huge loss for a lot of people because I know a lot of people that just love wearing sunglasses all the time. What is the plural of Apple Glass? Probably Apple Glasses, or Apple will refer to it as Apple Glass devices, something like that. Don't say glasses. Say Apple Glass devices. Apple Glass naming, I believe. That sounds right. They call it Apple Watch, not iWatch. I guess they want to incorporate Apple into the name a little bit more and get away from the I because the I just kind of stood for internet, which was unnecessary by the time the watch came out. I don't think the watch even had a browser at the time, so it was kind of stupid to call it iWatch in the first place. But Apple likes things to look minimal and clean and simple, so Apple Glass, I believe that sounds right. Not so much love sunglasses, but dislike normal ones. Yeah, I think this is going to be a new type of market because, it's like I said in the past. I didn't wear watches and I didn't wear watches before the Apple Watch came out, and once the Apple Watch was announced, I started wearing a dummy watch just so I could get comfortable to having something on my wrist because I hadn't really done that in the past growing up. So I think this Apple Glass could be something very similar to that. There's a lot of people who don't wear glasses because they don't need to or they don't care for it. But if the glasses are capable of displaying notifications, giving you a little bit of a user interface and holograms that can look very realistic right in front of you, and it's very simple and easy to put on, then people would be like, okay, yeah, I'll wear those. I'll wear those, even though, like me, I don't wear glasses at all. I don't even wear sunglasses, to be honest with you. They always just, for some reason, gave me a headache. I don't necessarily know why, and I imagine maybe Apple Glass will give me a headache when I first try it on. But yeah, it's a fascinating new development. I'm really looking forward to the launch of it because Apple does not introduce new product categories that often, or at least major ones like this one. I mean, the HomePod was kind of a new category, but it wasn't that exciting because it's just a speaker. And same with the AirTags. It's a new category, but it's not that game changing because we've seen them before. Whereas these Apple glasses don't sound like anything we've ever had before. Doesn't sound like any product that's previously existed. So that's why I think there's a lot of hype behind it. They won't be life changing for a long time. You techies really need to lower your expectations. You're a techie, Matthew. If you're watching this, you're a techie. You're not going to buy Apple Glass and get extra monitors and all that for a long time. I don't care what's possible in the first gen. I'm just saying the potential. The potential is there. If they're willing to do glasses, then that means they're willing to do 3D holograms and that kind of thing. Um, because I don't think the only showcase will be so that you can look at the Mac Pro in AR. Now you have glasses to see that with. I don't think that's going to be the only selling point. How long do you think it will take for the dreamed AR device where you just have something like the Apple Watch on you? Oh, sorry. Got a little bit of lag. I'll pause the playback here in case that hurts it. What are you asking, Manny, here? Dreamed AR device where you just have something like the Apple Watch on you and the information shows in the air with touchable big holograms. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that's something that sounds like what people think is the future, but I don't think AR and holograms are going to be good at replacing things that you physically interact with. Apple's kind of showcased that they're willing to go back on that because, for the longest time, I used to be all about the virtual keyboard, the touchscreen on the iPad, but then obviously Apple went all out with the smart keyboards and the Magic Keyboard case, and they moved away from the butterfly keyboard to go back to the Magic Keyboard. It's like, okay, Apple acknowledges that people like tactile feeling keys, that, pressing and feeling and touching something. Same with the digital crown on the Apple Watch. They don't want to go just to the display. They want you to have something physical that you can turn, feel, and tactile. And I don't think glasses would be good at replicating that. If you just had a super futuristic, high-powered headset that could simulate an iPhone in your hand, you still wouldn't have anything to interact with. You wouldn't have an object or something you could touch and feel. So I don't think they would be replacing iPhones in that way. Maybe someday you'll just have a slab of glass, and then the headset you're wearing will display a screen on top of that as you're scrolling through it and everything. But I think that's way out there. But I think they will be good at replacing things that you don't touch. Things like a monitor, or things like a TV, or things like games where there's holograms running around the room. The gaming possibilities are endless. The user can move around freely, and it has LiDAR, so it can track its environment. I mean, there's horror games could be revolutionized by these things. It's amazing. The potential is endless there. It doesn't even matter to me if it's not all that doable on the first generation. Just knowing that Apple rarely releases something and then discontinues it not long after. If they launch something, they stay committed to it for a long, long time. Unless it's Apple Music social media. This is hardware, so they're committed to it. So it's going to get updates, it's going to get software enhancements, it's going to get second generation reiterations and stuff like that. So the potential there is kind of endless for what you can do with holograms. But if the first generation has LiDAR, that means it's doing some type of motion tracking, in which case, and notification delivery, which I'm very curious how they're going to handle that. I'm curious. Let's see. Chris, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub for 2 months. Appreciate that. Thrilling Morty said Neuralink plus Apple Glass will be amazing. Oof. Yeah, Neuralink scares me. I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable with that. I know Elon talked about it a lot on the last Joe Rogan podcast, but man, the idea of having surgery to put some type of electronic that communicates with your brain. Yeah, that kind of scares me. I don't know. I'll definitely not be the first person to do it. I'll need to see some tests and a lot of people with proven experience doing it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know. When it comes to pricing for this thing, I see a lot of people say, $2,500 or no, $500 or $1,000. There's so much range here. I've never seen a product launch with so much range between what people are predicting. But my point is, before the last Worldwide Developers Conference, no one was saying Apple was going to release a $50,000 Mac Pro. And no one was saying Apple was going to release a $6,000 monitor. And yet here we are. Apple has time and time again come to shock us with what they're willing to charge for things. $700 wheels, they increase the brand, the luxury. And first gen, and especially when it comes to first generation products, they usually end up costing a lot more than we think. Um, that's what happened with the watch. I mean, that's what happened with things like the 10s, AirPods. The HomePod was way more than people thought. Um, there's just not a lot of times they end up undercutting literally everyone and outperforming them with features. So that's where my skepticism comes in. I'm not saying I hope they're over $500, but yeah, I think I agree with Michael in his last point. I would rather have $2,500 headset that does amazing things than a $500 headset that's gimped and not that impressive. Um, Overachiever got another dono. I know Apple's philosophy with the Apple Card is mainly simplicity, but do you think if Apple sees a lot of success over time, they'll do a tier 3, 4, or 5 cards with all Apple services included? I get it. Annual fees complicate things, but imagine the possibilities. I love that idea. I did a whole video on it. You can look up my Apple Card Plus concept. Oh, I'm sorry. I got some lag earlier. I didn't catch that. If I'm lagging, blame the Wi-Fi providers. Yeah, maybe I'll just put this thing to sleep just in case it's doing something in the background. My Wi-Fi acts up occasionally, and I'm currently with the best ISP I can find. So don't ask me to change Wi-Fi providers. This is the best it can get. But yeah, I did a whole video on the idea of a tier 3 or tier 4 Apple Card that I really like the idea of, and I'm not a guy who likes paying for credit cards, but the concept of being able to bundle every single Apple service together, including the iPhone upgrade program, and then you get Apple Care Plus on every single Apple product you buy included. And it basically would just result in once a year you having a big payment of $700 to $800, but then everything for your Apple stuff is covered. Your iCloud Drive is covered, your News Plus, TV Plus, Apple Music, and your new iPhone is all bundled within one service that you just have one annual fee for. I love the idea of that, but I guess it'll depend on how the rollout and success of Apple Card goes. I don't know. Is it possible it can damage your eyes? Also, if it's a transparent display, it will need extremely small pixels if it is right in your face. Very true. This is what I'm referring to when I mean that I have a hard time believing it's going to be $500 because that technology is not cheap by any means at this point, especially if you're doing displays on both ends. So yeah, I could see it hurting your eyes. I'm sure Apple's trying to avoid that if at all possible. Because in order to make holograms or things project in front of you and look normal and tracked into real time, it's not. It's an illusion. It's not real. I mean, it'll appear as real, but obviously the holograms are not there. That's why they're holograms. And anytime you do something where you try to trick the brain and you try to trick your vision, it always can annoy the eyes because they're focusing on things that aren't really there, and it means that they're kind of being bombarded with light and pixels directly into your irises and stuff like that. It's complicated. So I could imagine them causing some eye strain potentially. They will likely want to avoid that, but yeah. What do you think the refresh rate of them would be? 90 hertz? First generation, wouldn't be surprised if it's 60 hertz or maybe even lower because, again, they want to prioritize battery life, and the performance of them is going to be really low powered because it's first generation product. So yeah, I mean, I agree. Apple's always been the company about making things good, making things right, not necessarily cheap. If there's a lot of potential for a lineup, they will diversify a little bit, and you get things like the iPhone SE, and you get things like the budget iPad, but you notice those came years later. Those were not the introductory products. A lot of the time, if they are introducing new technology that's never really been seen before, they will introduce it on a high-priced luxury item and then work their way down, make it slowly become cheaper. We've all kind of become accustomed to the Apple Watch prices, but I want to remind everyone back when the Apple Watch first came out, everyone thought it was too expensive. I mean, everyone, even me. I was the Apple sheep, and I was like, $350? That's crazy, because everyone was saying $200 because that's all what Android Wear was at the time. It was like $200 watch, $200 watch, and we were like, okay, it's got to be around $200, and then it comes out in the tiny version is $350. And the larger version, the one everyone wanted, was over $400. Everyone's like, okay, this is like twice as much as all the competitors. This isn't going to work. And then over time, we're just like, $500 for a watch? Okay, yeah, that seems about right. Like, Apple dictates the value of things. When they control the market, they get to decide the prices. And if there's no one else like them in the market, they don't need to make them that affordable. So my point being, like, yeah, it's an iPhone accessory that's over $1,000. That's insane. That's crazy. How is that possible? But my point is, there will be nothing else like it. Then you can't consider it overpriced. Let's see. Too much for everybody. I don't think they will be for everybody at first, but probably 30 FPS because there probably isn't very much fast motion. Maybe. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yoshi said, "Hey Joe, I love Tesla. I think they are the current king of EV. I see Tesla being the king of self-driving cars, but how are you going to keep your hand on the steering wheel when the car is making a 90-degree turn? I've been waiting since you reviewed the iPhone 6s battery case." When was that? I'm sorry for you getting copyright strikes. I hope you grows to 1 million subs. All right, thank you. Yeah, I've got an EV video scheduled. I got to upload it after this, but I don't think they'll expect you to keep your hand on the wheel for the 90-degree turns. They'll probably just want your hands to be near the wheel, but 90-degree turns don't last for a long time, so there's not really going to be a good way for them to notice that, like, hey, he let go of the wheel. Whereas prolonged, they're just trying to make sure you're still paying attention. Or it might require some confirmation from the driver before they begin the 90-degree turn, but yeah, the turning's the next big thing for autopilot. The consumer brand you're talking about sells $1,300 Hermes watch in a $1,400 edition. They're going to have some expensive glasses. Yeah, I think that's expected. That's likely. It's got to have a high frame/refresh rate and motion blurring if this is going to be something people live in. Well, they don't live in the glasses, but yeah, I think battery day is taking way too long. I agree. I think they could get away with 60 hertz on the first generation one. I think they could get away with it. Let's see, that's too low. It's got to aim to match the frame rate and motion blurring of a normal human's eye and brain if it wants this to be their future. Well, at the same time, this is the paradox. This is why this stream was titled perfectly. The paradox is the AR technology we have right now does not run at 60 hertz. It runs even lower than that. Ah, jeez, Wi-Fi's acting up again. And at the same time, we're like, no, it has to be 90 to 120 hertz in order for it to look real. But it's like, okay, that tech doesn't exist. How is it going to be $500? Like, I don't get it. If you do the math, you can calculate the minimum FPS required to not induce motion sickness, because if you know the average distance of tracked objects, then you can calculate the distance that your head moves before the screen updates, causing the objects in space to lag behind and distort in the user's perspective. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying there might come a point where the balance of refresh rate to battery life is no longer worth it. So if you get a motion sickness 6-hour battery or a not motion sickness 2-hour battery, which is better, you know? It's not a great situation either way. You're not saying they have to start there, just that they need to get there. Well, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of room for growth. I think once we get these things, we're going to have all kinds of ideas on how to make them better. It'll just take a ton of time. Little fairies will live within the lenses of the glasses and dynamically change your refresh rate. That makes sense. Scott, I think that's the most logical explanation at the end of the day. Opinions on the $500 price point. Please go watch today's latest tech video. If you don't know my opinions on that, I don't want to repeat them for everyone who's already seen it. We talked a lot about that at the beginning. You will only buy the solid gold version. Glasses still work if they're not displaying anything. Not if they're not prescription glasses. I don't know what working is. If the goal of them is to deliver notifications to you visually, yeah, that's gonna be a draw on some power. Let's see. It seems like, at least in my audience, people are very divided. There's a lot of people that believe the $500 leak, and there's a lot of people that are saying it's impossible. And I think both sides have some legitimate points. Both sides have arguments of logic of iPhone accessories can't be that much, and if Apple Glass starts at $1,300, no one's going to buy it. But at the same time, the technology that's currently around doesn't showcase that technology is anywhere near being $500. if it's going to do what it's rumored to do. So, do you think charging would be the same like an Apple Watch? John's saying they charge inductively on a little plastic stand, and you flip them upside down. I don't exactly know what it looks like or how it works, but yeah. I'd buy titanium Apple glasses in a second. Where do you see Apple in 10 to 50 years? Um, Probably a lot more of the same. Just cameras getting better, phones getting thinner, battery life's improving, cameras getting better. I said that. Glasses getting better. Just a whole lot of the same. I don't think much of a lot more emphasis on services. They're going to be putting a huge emphasis on services and subscriptions and that kind of thing. I don't think there's going to be a huge revolution of technology for Apple necessarily. They're probably just going to keep playing it safe for the long haul. Lots of iOS improvements, hopefully. Snapchat glasses worth way less than Apple glasses. I didn't expect it to be that cheap. Not much. I think the Snapchat spectacles are $380. And they have some type of small AR feature, but it's not motion tracking. They just have cameras. I don't know anything about the technology Apple has, but I just think that if they are ready to release that thing, they must have something that makes it feasible price-wise. Yeah, it's just, you got to remember, this is the company that was okay launching a $1,000 stand, $50,000 Mac Pro, $700 Mac Pro wheels. It means, to me, they're very comfortable shipping a device that's groundbreaking at $1,500. I wouldn't put it past them, or $2,500. I wouldn't put it past them if they're willing to charge that much for wheels and stands and monitors. Just because, reference monitor. You know exactly how they argue these things on stage. I've used this example before. They were like, reference monitors made by Sony are big and ugly and $40,000, but this Pro Display XDR is a mere $6,000, so it's worth it. They can do the same thing with the Microsoft HoloLens. So a motion tracking headset that you can wear and is bulky is $3,500, but our headset's $2,000, so we think it's worth it. Like, they could do that exact thing. And, how many times in Apple's history have we found ourselves saying, holy crap, why do they think they can charge that much? That's so insane. They're known for that. So the idea that this groundbreaking first-generation revolutionary technology that no one else has before is actually going to be more like the iPhone SE or the iPhone 11, the affordable, cheap version that everyone can buy. I have a hard time buying that. If the Apple glasses are an iPhone accessory, they are clearly targeted at normal people. I think Apple knows who they're going to be targeted at, and they could be not targeted at normal people. They could end up being targeted at more of a luxury segment, more people in a higher price point. Because, again, there will not be anyone else that is capable of doing those things. Relatively cheap AirPods. The AirPods were not looked at as cheap when they came out. Don't forget that either. No one thought $170 was cheap for AirPods. Everyone was like, wait, they sound the same as regular earbuds? That's crazy. Everyone thought wireless earpods from Apple would be like $100, and then they were $170. I think the best frame of reference we have for the glasses is the Apple Watch. There will be the cheap one and then the thousands of dollars one, but I don't think $499 starting is going to happen with Gen 1 or even Gen 2. It will take some type of miracle of manufacturing. I want to believe it, but hoping for it, but not going to expect it, not going to count on it. Do you think they'll be made out of titanium? Maybe. I mean, Apple typically doesn't like making that much stuff out of plastic. They make cheaper things out of plastic, but these wouldn't really be that cheap. Even $500 for a plasticky pair of glasses. Doesn't that sound so fragile? Like those glasses that you roll over the wrong way, or you put them on a chair and sit on them, and the plastic just cracks, and opposed to like a metal pair of heavy, not too heavy, but durable, premium feeling glasses, which I would expect. No, I'm not getting any of the new consoles when they come out. I don't follow that stuff. Do you think the glasses will be one size fits all? Because when ordering new frames, it's a big deal to make sure the arms are the correct length and lenses are the correct distance apart, because I wouldn't put it past Apple to make them one size fits all and then only the average person can wear them comfortably. Maybe. I feel like they'll design them in a way that they can fit different heads are different, shapes pretty easily between noses and ears and the size of people's heads. They might give a little bit of variety. I mean, the Apple Watch has always had two sizes from the beginning, so they might have a small and a medium size or something like that. But no, I agree. I wouldn't put it past them to have a one size fits all. There are generally, most AR glasses kind of have one size that are like, okay, this generally fits most people's heads. And the stems are adjustable, so depending on what head they're going on, they can make it work. Most glasses are plastic unless they are frameless. Right, but the glasses aren't, sporting lithium batteries and electronics on the inside. Can't imagine the starting model being over $1,000. Yeah, you will probably get the titanium and Hermes and whatnot, but the base model can't be so expensive if they actually plan on selling them in numbers. I think they could get away with it, personally, knowing Apple and knowing how they've entered markets in the past. If the AR glasses started at $1,500, they would still sell pretty well. No joke. I genuinely believe that. I mean, with the way Apple is pushing the Apple Card and financing options these days anyway, if they're able to achieve, miraculous amounts of features of holograms and adding displays to things and motion tracking and that kind of thing, they could justify it. I think they could. It will not be as high volume as a product of an Apple Watch, but maybe they're not looking for it to be a high volume one. It's possible that they're looking for this to be more like a HomePod of a product that's got the few people that did get it are very, very happy and satisfied with it, but most people don't. I could see them treating it that way. Everyone is going to freak out for a month and then no one will care. That's how a lot of Apple product launches have gone in the past. I mean, how many times have they released something? Everyone said it's too expensive, this is going to flop, and then over time we just get used to it, and now that's just the price of the product. That's what we're used to. For most designer brand glasses, the frames can easily be like $300 or more, and then you add in the prescription, and it can go way up if you don't have medical coverage. I don't think medical insurance will cover the AR side of the glasses. They might cover the lenses, but I don't think they would cover the glasses themselves. $500 is not even that steep for regular glasses. Anyone who wears them knows that. That's why I think Apple will price higher. Yeah, I mean, it's a wide market. There's a lot of different price points between different luxury brands, and there's certain luxury glasses go well over $1,000, and that's not, there's no tech in that. It's just a design thing. And Apple likes to be looked at a luxury brand, right? I just find the hypocrisy with interacting with people's audiences. Like one day we're talking about $700 wheels, and I'm complaining about $700 wheels. This is insane. This is stupid. And you guys are like, yeah, but they gotta retain that luxury look. They gotta retain this look. So it's a branding thing. It's a marketing thing. And then when it comes to next generation augmented reality, everyone's like, $500 is reasonable. I think that'll be. It just doesn't make any sense to me how, like, one thing is like, no, they're a luxury brand, and then the next thing is like, no, they got to make it for the masses. Everybody's got to afford this. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. You really think that you could buy a Pro Stand or two AR glasses, two pairs of glasses with augmented reality for the same price? And then what are people justification? Well, stuff in the pro market. I mean, look at Red cameras. Those are luxury brands. They charge, hundreds of dollars for cables and little screens and SD cards for their cameras. And it's like, okay, are they a luxury brand or are they the affordable brand? We can't make up our mind. I think everyone is giving it the benefit of the doubt. They want it to be $500 because that would be obtainable and affordable. You don't like hearing that they would be $2,500 because then most people wouldn't buy them, including yourselves. I'm not rooting for them to be $2,500. That would suck. That would set me back a lot. I would still get them, but it would be frustrating. It would be quite the purchase. It would be like, oh boy. Were you ignoring the fact that less capable glasses cost way more? Economy of scale can't help that much. Well, the issue with economy of scale is you can't really keep that much of a secret. I mean, that's why we're able to know what the iPhone displays are going to be made out of, and we know about the Pro Display XDR before that comes out, and Mini LED. Like, you would be hearing more sources than just this one if a price had been decided on. Ming-Chi Kuo reported the Pro Display XDR almost exactly right, but he didn't give a price point for it. He just knew the screen resolution and the size. He knew it'd be 32 inches, and he knew it'd be 6K. So we got that right. but he had no clue it'd be $6,000 with the stand, obviously. Same with the cheese grater Mac Pro. We knew it would be modular, but we didn't know it would start at 6K. So, stupid lag again. Sorry. Google Glass was $1,800, and I understand that was a long time ago, but my point is Google Glass did barely anything compared to what AR glasses are doing. Google Glass was like, I will give you the time and the weather in the top corner of your eye, and then there's a camera on there, and camera modules aren't expensive. So the fact that Apple glasses don't have a camera that you can take pictures and videos, that doesn't save them a ton of money. It's not pricey. They're little cheap $30 watches on Amazon with a camera. The factories are built and optimized. Yeah, I mean, when the factories are built and optimized and building these things at scale, that's kind of another part of this paradox here. It's like, okay, if they are $500, they better be ready to build millions of these things quickly. That's going to take a whole lot of factory optimization, because if they are that affordable, holy crap, are everybody going to want to buy them? Everyone's going to want those things fast. The manufacturing process will be a whole new thing. I just cannot see them being that cheap. But he is in the product chain. He doesn't know prices. If John has sources so high up in Apple, he would be the one to know stuff like that. Yeah, but John is reported on things that change later. So and that's in the span of weeks, not years. He's still relatively new to the leak game when it comes to stuff like that. Like, that was the example I used in my video. Like, I'm not attacking John here. We're friends and we still talk and we're on good terms and all that. I'm just saying one tweet is, okay, my source is telling me Worldwide Developers Conference is June 1st. And then it's 3 weeks after that. What happened there? Apple changed their mind. So within a month period, Apple was able to change their mind. If we're talking these things aren't coming out to the public until like a year from now or more, there's plenty of time for Apple to change their mind on things. So what they're planning right now could be vastly different from what actually happens. That being said, I feel like we shouldn't take his leak. I think, okay. YOLO says, I think FPT is a good leaker, and the iPhone SE leak was incredible. That being said, I feel like we shouldn't take his leak as a verified fact. That's all I'm trying to say here. And I would treat this no matter who. If Mac Takara said this, if Ming-Chi Kuo said this, I would be responding the exact same way. I just feel like a lot of people will highlight one credible leak and then apply that to all future predictions, which is a dangerous game. Don't do that. Ming-Chi Kuo has been wrong on a lot of things, and he's been right on a lot of things. And I think John will be the same way. Let's see. If Apple sold an Apple Watch with a camera on it, would it replace your Apple Watch Series 4? No, God, no. Go back and look up some videos on why the Apple Watch doesn't have a camera from my channel. I've made at least like 4 videos on why the Apple Watch shouldn't and will not have a camera. If CoinX said that, I mean, track record would be a little bit different. I would probably still doubt it a tad, but yeah, CoinX is a lot more direct and less vague with a lot of his tweets and reports. The only vague tweet he ever gave was, but there's one more thing. Other than that, everything CoinX has tweeted has been like spot on accurate. Whereas there's been several things John has tweeted that didn't end up happening. So that's just why I'm a bit more skeptical. Yeah. If John and CoinX and Quo were all saying $4.99, we'd have a different discussion. That'd be sure. CoinX isn't necessarily perfect, but what I will say is that anytime CoinX has said something specifically, it has happened. He occasionally will tweet something vague, but it's pretty rare. The iMac refresh thing is still rumored to happen. That's just at a matter of time. It could happen tomorrow, for all we know. But yeah, there's a lot of time between. I mean, CoinX tweeted about there being a 10.2-inch iPad, and there wasn't one for like 6 months after that tweet, but eventually it did come out. So there's still a bunch of time for CoinX to be proven correct. But he definitely has some reliable sources because he was like the only person who knew about the 10R, 10S, and 10S Max naming before everybody else. And he also knew the exact iPad Pro width. He got a lot of stuff spot on. It was pretty impressive. He didn't, to be fair, in defense of CoinX, he never tweeted there will be a one more thing moment at the September event. If he tweeted that, he would have been wrong, but that's not what happened. He just tweeted, but there's one more thing, as a quote from Steve Jobs. Yes, it confused a lot of people. It made a lot of people assume there would be a one more thing, but he never explicitly said there would be one. So, kind of. Like I said, when he's precise, he's right. Good thing the strikes got lifted. I can't believe the copyright system on YouTube is still as flawed as it is. I know a lot of it has to do with how dated copyright law is, but the point is, I still think YouTube is handling it poorly. The copyright laws on YouTube are definitely not on YouTube in general. Copyright laws as a whole are very dated and need to be updated for the modern times for the internet. But I think YouTube could combat that a little bit better. They could adapt copyright law a little bit better than they have right now. Like, the simple thing to me is just a warning. You know, if someone wants to copyright strike your channel, you should get like a 24-hour notice, not an instant deletion of the video and a punishment of the channel without, any type of... Because if it was just a matter of cutting out a 5-second clip from my video, I would have done it. Or if they would have just told me, hey, take down this video or you'll get a strike, I'll be like, okay, I'll take it down, fine. It's not that big a deal. It's one video. I can live without that one video. Let's see. The only price I believe is the one Tim Cook puts on the big screen on images through prescription lenses. I wonder if it has to calibrate when first used. The onboarding experience is going to be incredible. Yeah, I completely agree. I know everyone keeps telling me to watch the Tom Scott copyright. I've seen the Tom Scott copyright law video. I know the copyright law is dated, but I still think the YouTube system is broken. They're not putting a camera on the Apple Pencil. Stop. Do you think they will remove the 10R from the lineup in September when the 12 comes out? They could, but I think there's a chance they might keep it around because the iPhone 11 probably costs more to manufacture, so it would be easier to push people towards the iPhone 12 if they just kept the 10R and got rid of the 11. I fell down the auto-suggestion rabbit hole the other night, and I watched a 30-minute video on a YouTuber I shall not name who just goes around copyright and community striking everyone. Oof, that's terrible. With eye tracking, of course, there would be calibration probably after every update. See, that's the other thing. Some people keep saying there's going to be eye tracking. That costs even more. Eye tracking is not a thing on cheap AR glasses, and by cheap I mean $800. So if there was some type of eye tracking on these things, it would be... I have no clue how they would be priced that low. Remember when the Note 10 was rumored to have a camera in the S Pen? I'm trying to understand why someone would want that. Apple Glass is free with $2,000 shipping. There you go. That makes more sense. I could believe that. 5.4 inch with 475 pixel per inch. The rumor that claimed that the 5.4 inch model would have the highest pixel density was not... I mean, there were typos in the chart, and they were saying that Samsung was going to make the 5.4 inch OLED panel, which doesn't make sense compared to previous reports we heard. So I wouldn't trust them I don't trust them very reliably. If they can't spell processor correctly, I don't assume they know the exact resolutions. But even if they are correct, I imagine it has something with Apple wanting to make HD displays across the board. So the higher pixel density on the 5.4 inch model would mean that every iPhone has 1080p or better. So Fandroids could no longer complain about sub 1080p displays because even the tiny iPhone would have 1080p. Copyright is messed up outside of YouTube. Let's not forget that Marvin Gaye's family has basically sued everyone who has a recorded song that's even slightly similar. Oh yeah, it's all messed up. It's all broken. This is why I'm not going to take YouTube for granted anymore, or ever in the future. I'm just going to assume that a policy could change, or a creator could decide he wanted to copyright strike something I did or a photo I showed, and my channel could potentially get deleted like that overnight. I'm just going to continue to consider that a possibility, which is why I'm going to make sure I make every dollar I make count and try to be really, really responsible with my money so that we don't need YouTube to survive. That's what I'm just going to keep trying to do it. And I have been more careful with the EV videos ever since I got the copyright strikes. I've been making sure to reach out to people I show videos of and that kind of thing, and just being overly cautious. Um, yeah, there's all kinds of copyright strikes you can do. It's crazy. And I think YouTube should make it a bit easier on everybody. Not so easy for someone to instantly delete a video, or at least showcase a manual review of some kind. But the line of fair use is very very blurry. It's not very precise and very specific. If you want to be responsible with your money, gift every subscriber to Taylors of Tech free Mac Pro wheels. Now that is a great idea. We should do that. Great point. All right, guys. Well, I've got to get this EV video posted, so stay tuned for that. But thank you for your donations and your Twitch Primes. It's been a fun chat. Can't wait for glasses to come out. What will your backup plan be if your channel gets shut down? The good news is we've lowered our monthly expenses and made ourselves financially balanced enough that we could still pay all our bills without YouTube, just relying on my wife's work and Twitch and Patreon. And I'd probably move a bunch of stuff to Twitch, and I'd revamp the Patreon a little bit, just saying like, okay, I'll post videos early there. If people want to support me, they can. That would be the backup if something did happen to YouTube. But so far, so good. We're still live. I'm going to be alive as long as we can on YouTube. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.